President Donald Trump has accused China of breaching a recent agreement aimed at reducing tariffs, signaling a potential escalation in trade tensions between the two nations. While Trump didn't provide specific details, he stated in a post on his Truth social platform that China had totally violated the deal. This statement comes after U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent acknowledged that trade talks with China are a bit stalled, suggesting that a direct conversation between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping might be necessary to break the deadlock. Earlier this month, both countries had agreed a 90-day pause on setting tariffs, while the current impasse raises concerns about the future of these negotiations. For this conversation, I'm joined by Global Affairs Analyst Ejike Okpa. He joins us from Dallas, Texas. Thank you for giving us your time tonight. Trump and his China's counterparts are trading blames over the two-week tariff truce reached by both countries. Will the U.S., while the U.S. says China has violated it, Beijing has responded that the U.S. is wrong. What do you make of this situation?
I wish that. Well, thank you for having me. TGI Friday. Thank God it's Friday. We're winding up for the work week. When it comes to China and US, it's always difficult to say, what's going to be the outcome because, you get two nations that are claiming or, jockeying to be who is number one or who is number two. Anybody can take that, take that test and score it the way they want. China has proven to be, one of those nations that, a lot of things they do is harder to be considered transparent. Their whole idea is to undermine the other side and draw out something that, you will normally expect to be taken care of immediately. So when it comes to the trade, China is trying to flex its muscle because, everybody wants something that is good for their nation. But, unfortunately for them, they had a gentleman, in Trump who is about making the deal and who's going to push back on behalf of America. So, the whole thing is, grades are usually scored after the fact. Let's see what happens. 90 days, 60 days. Trump has only been there for over 4 months, but the whole world somehow have, by design and default, stood up to take notice because we don't know what's going to happen next. But, between these two gentlemen who are, fighting for their own nation and wanting to, succeed and, prevail, not just overcome. You just want to prevail.
Do you foresee a return to a tit-for-tat slamming of tariffs by both countries, as we've seen in the past month? Or do you foresee an amicable agreement anytime soon?
Well, the world has come to enjoy trade. Anytime you pick up a product, whether it's your clothes or any physical thing outside of your clothes, it's come from somewhere. And so, this influx of activities has enabled the world to grow and somehow, reduce poverty, even though we still have it. So, yes, that's going to be an amicable solution. China can do without America. America obviously needs something from China. But it has to come to where it's a win-win. There's no need to try to undermine your other party if you want to get a negotiation that everybody will say, hey, we did very good. I think the problem comes when one person said it has to be my way or no way. So the tariff is one of those things. The tariff thing has gone on for centuries in America. If you go back to the history, even when it was GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, and then that became World Trade Organization. It's always been a tool used by nations to exact something from the other side. So what is happening now is not new. What is new is the personalities playing the game. And who's going to be the referee? Nobody. It's not even World Trade Organization. They have no say in this. It's going to be the two nations. It's a bilateral issue that has to be resolved. And hopefully they're going to resolve it because it's a level of distraction that is taken away from other things that we need to be talking about.
Trump, in his usual states, taunted China, saying they could not bear the burden of tariffs slammed on them during the tit-for-tat session, hence the reason he reached out to them for a truce. He actually posted this on his social, Truth Social. Let me see if I can quote it. The tariffs imposed had been devastating for China, and so he had made a fast deal to save them from what he thought was going to be a very bad situation. Does this tell the true story?
Well, I mean, look, China has, by default and design, become the manufacturer of the world because of they have cheap labor and they have this top-heavy leadership. When the chairman of the Communist Party said this is what's going to happen, there's very little opposition. So China has become that, and they recognize that if what they produce is not being sold, it's not being bought by anybody, especially America, which has the highest consumption rate per capita of any nation in the world, they're going to be struggling. And I was in China in January, and I saw evidence of that. Factories that are closed and people that are milling around and have nowhere to go. So it's
Ejike, do we have you? I think the network has interrupted his submission. Ejike, if you can hear me, go ahead. We lost you for a minute there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that, China has to cut a deal. China has to come to terms with their own reality, recognizing that if America were not to buy from them, which would be impossible to do because some of the things they do, we need it here, they're going to cut a deal. They're going to, push back on their ego. Everybody has one, and then come to the table and say, okay, fine, what will make you happy so that we all can go back to what we are doing and do it better. Tariff is a political tool, and only countries that have the resources and the wherewithal flex it. If you don't have anything to produce to sell, it doesn't bother you. But these two countries have things to do, and they want to be recognized as the two elephants, on the planet in terms of size and influence. But America is going to win because again, America has the consumption power, and with that, Americans buying things from all over the world, most economies will be in serious trouble.
Ejike, as always, thank you for sharing your time with us.